6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are live.
All right, what is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here talking about Shang-Chi, and we're going to be joined by the OG himself,
The OG.
the one and only Jeff Garcia, the king nerd here, the king geek.
There you
The
go.
OG.
There you go.
Thanks, guys. Sorry for no video. Joe just had impeccable timing. He got a hold of me right when I shut down the computer, right when I get out of the shower, right when I flopped in bed, get under the covers nice and cozy. And I said, Joe, I can do it, but I am not video camera ready. I can just do on phone. But I'm glad Joe worked with me. Cell phone only, but it's good to be on your show. I'm ready to nerd out. And it just gives me a break from doing Spurs coverage constantly. I just love it. I love it. And by the way, Joe, did you see my good morning to San Antonio video? I guess, well, by the time we're looking at this, today, I guess. The OG Season 2 Transformers introduction. I think that was the best intro they had in the season before it ended.
Yeah, I saw that because you always say getting ready for work, San Antonio.
Yep.
Yep, and that was the one that you were using today. So good on you.
And Ted, I brought this to Joe's attention this morning.
What's that?
We never talk about Omega Supreme committing murder in front of us. Go back and watch that season 2 intro of the Transformers. He just murders Blitzwing. Seriously, go look at it. He murders Blitzwing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Bone Crusher comes in to scoop up the carcass.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, go check it out. I think some of the react I got from that where people were saying that was probably the most Supreme did in the entire series because he was just always like emo all the time.
Oh yeah,
no,
showing
real.
it right now.
You see it, Joe?
Yeah, I see it.
Commits murder in front of us, and those kids were like, "Whoa!" It just totally went over our heads.
Another thing that Jeff had put up earlier today on Twitter was that Ewok scene from Return of the Jedi.
Oh man!
When the little dude lost his compadre, and then he tries to scoop him up, and he's like,
"No, brutal!" It's the squeal. That squeal right before the Ewok dies. And you're like, you gotta be kidding me, Lucas.
I mean, come on. It's it's aged mostly well. There's some things that kind of stand out like that, but yeah, I could see where you're coming from, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Jeff still hasn't seen
much, man.
He still hasn't seen the latest Star Wars, the last one.
I refuse to see the last one.
He might not see it. He might not.
So
ever,
he's missing out on the Ewoks there.
Joe got close to getting me to watch it, but the plan was to get a bunch of guys to watch it. That never happened. So
we tried getting them together.
Yeah, we tried. Yeah.
If they ever do like a director's cut or something, like an extended edition, Jeff, would that entice you a little bit more?
No,
he might make me cry more. He might make me no way. No, I refuse to watch it. I mean, after the second one in the recent trilogy, I was done. I was done.
Gotcha.
That just broke my back. And fortunately, Mandalorian came along, Clone Wars came along, Rebels came along, and that salvaged my fandom for Star Wars.
Yeah, we're just gonna act like the other three didn't happen.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Hey, look, I mean, Ted, correct me if I'm wrong. I hear a rumor that supposedly Disney wants to retcon it. Is that true?
I won't believe that until I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds too good to be true, but we've talked about it online. The path is there if they want to. The Mandalorian can change things. You can call it an alternate reality. You can throw in some, force, magic, universe changing events or something. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. It's all a matter of, does Lucasfilm or Disney have the cojones to do that now?
This is where we need Deadpool to do what he did to his original Deadpool in Wolverine. Just somehow get Luke to travel back in time and just massacre everybody. And then, okay, we're done. We're over. He looks at the camera, happy, everybody. It's done. But Yeah, no, man, just the last that's the last one, man. That second in that trilogy, just I couldn't. I remember walking out of the theater thinking, "What in the world did I just see?" Like, I was like, "This is not happening." I had no reaction. I was just numb, Ted, numb.
And I hear you, man. As soon as we get like Mandalorian back, we're probably gonna have to revisit all things Star Wars. But for now, we're gonna be talking all things Marvel tonight, and a lot of great things to talk about, right? Because we just watched Shang-Chi
Shang-Chi.
and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We sort of had our own San Antonio private viewing party. Jeff, sorry you were out of town, but we would have loved to have had you, man. We had the entire Geekcast team there, some of our
No.
friends, some of our families, and we had a blast watching it all together. And later on in the show, we're also going to be talking about Marvel's What If series, episode 5, which just dropped today. And I got to apologize real quick. As I told Joe before the show started, I visited the dentist this afternoon and they shot me up with Novocaine. So I have like a quarter of my face is completely numb right now. So if I look like I'm spitting at the camera or slurring, more than usual at least, it's because I can't feel like 30% of my face. So I apologize to the viewers right now if I'm spitting on the lens or anything. But I'm just glad I can talk this much. Earlier, it was like no bueno. It wasn't gonna
Don't
happen at
let him
all.
fool you, Jeff. He always looks like that and sounds like
just
that.
just activate your clay face abilities, and then just fix everything.
Oh my god, I felt like Two Face earlier. I told Joe, I was like, this must be what Two Face feels like. You can't really feel one side of your face. So yeah, I was like, this must be it. Which got me thinking, I'm not gonna go off on a tangent. In the Dark Knight, how does Two Face enunciate so well? He doesn't have any cheeks. He must be in severe pain,
Doesn't
or they
have
must have
lips.
shot him up with like a lot of painkillers, right? He probably can't feel that side of his face. How does he enunciate so well? Somebody needs to theorize and figure that out. But I regressed. Um, let's talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That's why we're all here today. And oh man, what a great film! Action packed, lots of comedy, pulls on the heartstrings when it needs to. I want us to talk all about that. Joe, I'm going to kind of start with you, man. General thoughts about the movie. We're going to get into some spoiler details here in just a minute. But Joe, if you could please give us your overall general thoughts about Shang-Chi
Without spoiling it because we're not doing the
without
spoilers
spoiling it.
yet.
In a
Yeah.
minute, in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, general consensus was I thought it was a really good movie. I think it ranks up there with probably one of the best MCU movies that I've seen in quite some
Ooh.
time. I'd
High
have to put
praise,
it
high praise.
I'd have to put it up there in an esteemed company with the Winter Soldier, you know, Captain America and
Yeah.
the Winter Soldier. I think it's up there because it was really well done. The fight choreography was on point. I mean, it was beautiful to watch. And not only that, but you compile that with a really good storyline, and the introduction of some other possibilities, and because I'm not going to ruin it, but overall, it was just a really solid film. As far as an origin story goes, I mean, you look and see where Disney has messed up with origin stories. Look no further than Captain Marvel. You know, you're comparing Captain Marvel and Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi, hands down, is going to win that battle, because it was just such a great film. Refreshing, something new, something different.
Yeah.
And it had a little bit of everything for everyone, I think, and the best thing about it is the characters just seemed so natural. There was not didn't seem like there was anything forced. The acting was on point. We didn't get cardboard acting like we did with Captain Marvel. So I mean, I was very pleased with this movie. It was a refreshing surprise.
Appreciate that, man. And I I didn't expect you to bring up Captain Marvel, but that is pretty funny. So yeah, I guess that's gonna be the big comparison today, right? Jeff, let's go to you, sir.
Mhm.
Your general thoughts, no spoilers just yet, but your general thoughts about Shang-Chi.
It's gonna go down in personal history for me. It was the first movie I saw since the pandemic.
Right.
A couple other movies, kind of, I bought tickets, plans. They fell through. I couldn't make it. The most recent one was Snake Eyes. I was going to go see Snake Eyes. That fell through. I couldn't make it. So that's where it goes for me. I'll remember Ten Rings as that. But then going into the movie, I mean, I just love the hat tip to the Asian culture.
Oh
That
yeah.
was just wow. I mean, they really brought it to the surface. It wasn't force fed on you. It was just, hey, this is how our community operates. This is our culture, and it was just beautiful. The colors were vibrant. The action was packed. The fight scene in the bus was great. It reminded me a lot of Speed, Sandra Bullock, and Keanu Reeves. It reminded me a lot of that, and I went in a little leery as far as what Aquafina would bring, but actually was pleasantly surprised. So I think she did her role very, very well. Um, Joe knows me. I can be a Russian judge. Do I have a little nitpicky stuff? Of course I do.
Yeah.
I guess what I thought was going to be a bigger villain in the role, Death Dealer. Yeah, felt a little flat for me.
All right. All right.
Um, but when I look at it all and circling back to the Asian culture, or the Japanese culture, I should say, I really loved how it was kind of, at least in my nerd mentality, an homage to Dragon Ball Z. It really felt like a
Ooh.
Dragon Ball. He had the Kamehameha wave, what we see something similar to that in the movie, and even if I mean we're going to a deep cut here. Remember how Goku defeated Piccolo? He was flying in the air. He shot a beam in him, in the stomach, and in the anime, um, he does his little Kamehameha, and you see that's how Piccolo dies. If that they pay an homage to that in the final battle. So go back and if you do see it a second time, go see on YouTube Goku versus Piccolo, the ending, and then if you go back, go look at the Shang-Chi, the final battle, and tell me, it's not similar. I mean, I've seen even interviews with. Well, no. I think they even blatantly mention a Dragon Ball Z reference in the movie, don't they?
That's probably it, right?
Yeah. But
I
overall,
wouldn't doubt it.
I think it's great. Winter is still number one in my book. It took a lot for a movie to topple it off my personal list, but yeah, I mean, I put it out there. I think it could sneak into my top five MCU movies.
More so than Captain Marvel.
Oh my god, Captain Marvel. So disappointing.
Is
So
that
Yeah.
that's gonna come
it,
up a lot
it,
in
it,
it?
it's just it had nothing with the character. I just think they miscasted the who's playing Captain Marvel. I think they could have picked somebody else better.
There you go. I actually think that Brie Larson's fine. They just didn't ask her to do enough. I think that the story needed more. It's hard to get engaged with a story where the hero runs over everybody. It's hard for me to get excited about that. But I regress again because we're talking about Shang-Chi. I'll go next. Hey, listen, if you were waiting for sort of the big martial arts movie of the year and you saw Mortal Kombat or you saw Snake Eyes, which is still a good movie in my opinion. Shang-Chi though really nailed the choreography
Mm-hmm.
more than those films did. And it's not just the movement, it's not just the creativity, but also the cinematography of it all. They just filmed the fight scenes better in my opinion, and they went much bigger, had better ideas with it. So above all else, the choreography puts this movie on a very high pedestal for me. And I'm not gonna say I'm a big martial arts movie guy, but as a kid, I'd watch the the kung fu movies.
Mm-hmm.
I watched as a kind of a kid, a young guy, watched the Jackie Chan foreign films because people were talking about this actor overseas named Jackie Chan who was putting out all these amazing kung fu movies. So I'd watch all of those. He actually dies a lot in those, which is very surprising because he doesn't die in this on the American movies. But I love that Simu Liu's character Shang-Chi, Sean, right? His fight choreography is very creative, um, very quick, very fast. He's not the Bruce Lee type taking out people. He's very creative. It's a unique fighting style. It's very reminiscent of the choreography that Jackie Chan does in his movies. And I'm also going to reference some of the sets later on that refer to Jackie Chan type movies. Um, I love the emotional beats in this movie. I'll talk about that later on. But when this film goes for drama, it nails it. When it goes for comedy, most of the jokes, laughing my head off. I loved it. It wasn't too forced. It wasn't too cheesy. It all felt very natural. And this film pulls all that off. The visual effects, 9 times out of 10, incredible. There's a few spots where I'm like, wow, that's really, really blurry. It really shouldn't look like that. But most of the time, way above par. I would put this at probably one of my top three Marvel origin movies. And I think on that list, I would probably put Iron Man and Black Panther. Winter Soldier still my favorite MCU movie. Always will be probably. But as far as origin movie goes, the Thors, the Captain Marvels, the Ant-Man. I sort of put Iron Man, Black Panther at the top, and I think this one is in that top three. I don't know why I put it on my overall list, but love this movie. I hope you did too. And now we can get into the nitty gritty of it all and talk about the spoilers. So, spoiler warning right here and now. We're going to be talking all about the details, the plot, the story, our favorite moments of Shang-Chi. So, if you haven't seen it, pause this video right now. Whenever you check it out, be sure to come back. And also, if you're watching right now, we want to hear from you. Let us know what your thoughts are about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Drop your comments below, and we're gonna read all of them. Okay, so join the chat right now, and let's go ahead and take this away and get into the movie. Joe, let's go ahead and start off with the opening action scene, if you want to, or we can talk about sort of the father mother story that we got in the very beginning of the film. Very, very reminiscent of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The sort of the flowy choreography, fighting style. I love the sort of air bendiness that the mom has. All of this stuff is fantastic. It's working for me. It's probably working for you too, right?
Yeah, and basically with that fighting style is reminiscent of it's a fighting style. I don't remember the name eludes me, but it's generally people who are very in tune with chi, you know, and
Right.
natural energy or nature's energy. You have these uh, fight choreography going on that's reminiscent of Fighting Tiger, Flying Tiger, Hidden Dragon, um, and they kind of float and they can float on the leaves and on the water and all that, and it's because generally they're practicing some form of chi control, chi energy,
Yeah.
and I like that, because it's very reminiscent of being in tune with nature. And I think that's what you're kind of getting, that contrasting of styles. Because even with the Mandarin himself, when he's using the rings, they're always a cold color. They're blue. And then when you're introduced to the mother, and you're seeing her, everything's warm and sunny and yellow tones, a lot of gold, to depict natural energy, sun, you know, um, and chi, So there's a
Right.
big contrast in style there, which is showing they're polar opposites, the yin and yang. I saw a lot of references to that, the yin and yang, embracing who you are, even though that side might be a little too much, and might be evil. You got to embrace exactly who you are in order to find that symmetry, and really become who you were meant to be. And I think that's an undertone that to me was really kind of touching in the end, with Shang-Chi, is you're learning throughout the story as it weaves itself, and you're learning about the characters that you're going along on the adventure with them, is that they're just trying to figure out who they are, you know. And the one thing that I did really like about this whole movie is that the main characters, Sean or Shang and his friend Katie, they were really good together, and it's like
Oh
they didn't
yeah.
need a ton of friends. He just needed one very good one, and that's his ride or die. She will do anything for him and he'll do anything for her. And it just shows that the power of friendship is a really powerful thing, you know?
And how unique is it that we actually get a movie, superhero movie, with just a friendship between a male and a female character, just best friends, no sort of romance between them, right? We keep getting the romances over and over and over again. It's refreshing to get just a friendship relationship for a change. Jeff, do you feel that
Yeah.
way?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, they were hinting towards it. The grandmother asking,
They
you know,
sure
when
were.
they're going to get married. Yeah, there were moments they were kind of looking at each other. I thought that's probably going to be the moment when it happens. But no, no, they kept it very platonic, even to the bitter end. They're the two main characters, Aquafina and Shang-Chi, just friends, and that's good. No, I have to be the guy. I have to be the things that, or I wanted to pick on. Overall, it's a great movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm not poo-pooing it at all. But my
Pick
first,
away,
my,
man.
yeah, my first thing is I wish I could have see Death Dealer more. I think
Ooh, really?
they kind of hyped him up, in the trailers. They flashed him, and then done. And yeah, one major fight scene when they were hunting Shang-Chi, and then that was it. He pretty much died
You
easily.
think so? I thought we got a bunch of fights with Death
No,
Dealer.
I needed. You saw him a lot training. They showed him
Yeah.
really training the kid, but there wasn't really him fighting more than just one scene. That's just me. I really wish the ant and the Mandarin fought. There was a moment I thought that was going to happen in the final battle. They stared at each other. I said, "This is going to be great. The ant's going to avenge her sister. They're going to have at it. The Mandarin, they're going to go at it too." And then nothing. They just kind of went their separate ways. He goes to the portal under belief that his wife is captured, and she continues fighting. Great. I think I would have loved to see that because she was all about the openness and fighting. She tells her nephew, "Open your hands when you're fighting," versus the father who taught him how to have a closed fist.
Right.
So I thought that would have been great to see, but it didn't happen. Okay, fine. Um, Also, again, nitpicky here. Joe, I thought the rings were literally rings on the finger, not bracelets.
They
Why
changed it.
would they go? Why would they go that route? Stick to the freaking source.
It's a homage,
Ooh,
Jeff, to some of the other films that have come before it. And when you have
but there
this,
Old,
were
old school
rings, Joe,
hustle.
in the comic book. There were rings like
I
in the
know,
finger,
I
not
get that,
bracelets.
I get that, but I'm saying in the film you're finding a lot of them paying homage to the other martial arts films that came before it. And you see those
Mm-hmm.
references even in some of the martial arts movies that you've seen. That I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
seen them, but there's some that where they have this very unique fighting style, just like there was depicted in Shang-Chi. They wore rings on their arms, and that was just them trying to make it make sense. Because I think what they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get away from is anything to do with the hands, because we're very familiar with the Infinity Gauntlet, so they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to kind of distance themselves a little bit from that, and trying to give this a unique take. But the thing is, since they were using it on their wrist, or on their forearms, it was a missed opportunity in my book. I was waiting for Fing Fang Foom. Fing Fang
Mm-hmm.
Foom is kind of integrated with the Shang-Chi
Yeah, but
lore.
he's in that portal though. He's inside the portal.
Well, that's not Shang-Chi. That's not Fing Fang Foom. That was another entity. It
Oh.
wasn't Fing Fang Foom. Fing Fang Foom and his alien, two other alien dragons that
Mm-hmm.
arrived here in China way back when. They came from another planet called, I think it was Maklu 4, and they were
Mm-hmm.
from the greater Manganelic cloud. From what I remember as a kid reading these old comic books, and they arrived on Earth in China, and shortly after, they lost the rings because one of them was killed immediately, and the rings were
Yeah.
taken off of him, and of course, the rest is history with the 10 rings, and they entombed or put to sleep Fing Fang Foom, and he was awakened here and there to kind of wreak havoc for nefarious reasons
Right.
or whatnot. But they
Right.
would always wind up putting him to sleep with some herbs or something and put him back in the mountain again. And he's a shapeshifter, kind of like the Kree. So I was like,
Joe, they gave him some herb to put him to
they
sleep.
they gave him some herb to put him to sleep. No, no joke, But I would have liked to see the introduction of that, or even an origin, like where you're
Yeah.
seeing them land on a ship and you're seeing these alien dragons here, and people immediately starting to attack them because, of course, we think of dragons is
Right.
bad, and
Right.
this was
But
something that they could have introduced, but
yeah.
who knows? Maybe they still might. But
Yeah.
another thing I thought that was good uh, in the movie that I really enjoyed was watching Wong fight the Abomination. And apparently, I guess he got out of his holding cell, and him and
Yeah.
Wong are friends. They're buddies now, so like sparring partners. So I'm like, I wonder how that works.
Yeah.
It was a Mayweather McGregor match. They just had it. They had it
Well,
all set up, and they had it all planned out and stuff.
yeah.
And yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I do recommend everybody who's listening right now, if you have not seen the movie yet, Ten Rings, and if you have Disney Plus, see the one shot with fake
Oh,
Mandarin, uh, because that'll put a
Trevor.
lot of things in perspective. With Trevor, thank you. I saw it backward. I saw the movie first, and then I see Trevor come out of my. I'm confused. I'm like, okay, I guess he's just here. And then today, I finally see there was a one shot on Disney Plus. I went, okay, it made sense. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, see the one shot on Disney Plus, Trevor Slattery. Then go see the movie Ten Rings, and it'll make a lot more sense. Um,
There you go.
Circling back though to kind of things. A couple more things, and then I'll let you take over here, Todd. But one is going back to the Dragon Ball Z reference.
Yeah.
Um, not only does Aquafina's character even flat out say that Shang-Chi did a Kamehameha
Yes.
she flat out says it. Uh, you have the dragon. I mean, what did Goku do? He would ride the dragon. What was it? It was the Dragon Trail. When he died and he had to go figure a way to get resurrected. Same situation here. He got knocked out and he was dying, he was drowning, and the dragon breathed life into him with a little air bubble, and he rescued him. And then you see him too. Who remembers the OG Dragon Ball Z intro where they're racing on top of a dragon? They're riding a dragon. The same thing here. So really good homage to that anime. I don't know if it's intentional, but I caught it. And then Ted, help me out here. I don't understand the first bonus scene end credit. I don't get it. I have no idea. I don't know what they're talking about. It just felt very lacking. Like when Thanos was introduced, I mean, we just saw him right away. It was Avengers over. Thanos smiles at the camera. I thought that was great. That was a good build up. And this one, 'cause we're already in phase 4, we're gonna have a new baddie. It didn't have that same punch as we got when they revealed Thanos. All we got is like, oh, they were being used and something hurt it.
There you
Great.
go.
I don't understand it. Help me. Help me.
The punch, at least part of the punch, is Bruce Banner, human form again.
Yeah.
Not seen him since Infinity War, right? Years ago. He wasn't even in Endgame at all. We had Banner Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
Professor Hulk the entire time. And
Neutered Hulk.
so absolutely.
Yeah.
And great continuity because Banner's also wearing that string on his arm, the one that he
Mm-hmm.
actually performed the snap in. So great continuity there. And then Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. That's part of the punch. We talked, me, Joe, the guys, the team afterwards, and I'm thinking this actually has a little bit more to do with the next Spider-Man film than we might have anticipated. Not just because it involves Wong. Wong's there, as we all saw, right? But Wong sort of unlocks the text or the scripture that's written on the outside of one of the rings,
Mm-hmm.
and you start seeing these projections of that said text up in the air right in front of them all. It is extremely reminiscent of the spell that Doctor Strange was casting, and Peter had entered it and sort of started messing him up, and that was sort of the beginning plot of everything going chaotic in the next Spider-Man film. In the trailer, that this is what we saw in the trailer. So I actually told Joe and the guys, I'm like, when Wong is displaying the text of the rings, the 10 rings, it looks very, very similar to that same spell Strange was doing in the trailer. I'm wondering if those are related in any way. I hope so. That would put a big, nice little bow tie on all of this. And then Joe got me thinking. Uh, Talking about the aliens and the origins and the other characters we're missing, they could easily change the origin of the Ten Rings from the comics. The comics used to be the powers of warriors. Each ring was a separate power of a warrior or the essence of a warrior. What if they change it to where it is sort of alien technology, an alien artifact, and Fing Fang Foom and all that good stuff? It could be something that they decide to change in the future movie, or to bring back or something like that. So I think with that first end credit scene, half of it bringing back those Avengers characters, the other half is trying to tell us this is going to tie into No Way Home a lot more than we anticipate.
Yeah, I think it that really what the rings were calling out to was they were calling out to Fing Fang Foom and his planet. Uh,
Right?
you
Because
know,
it says it's sending a message.
Maklu
Mhm.
4 is where they come from. And that's the alien planet of Fing Fang Foom, So
Right.
everybody's waiting for Fing Fang Foom to be introduced. And maybe he's not going to be introduced in this first film. Maybe he'll start coming in the next film, and he's a dragon, yes, but he's also a shapeshifter, kind of like, like we've been introduced to before with Captain Marvel.
Right.
So I'm thinking that maybe that might be a good way to introduce a new kind of race, a new character, So who knows? It would be exciting, but I mean, they're not going to do anything groundbreaking because I've heard people say, "Oh, it was calling out to Galactus," and they're going to. Well, we haven't even been introduced to the Fantastic Four, and that's kind of still far away, So they're not going to try to set that up
No.
right now,
We can't have too many ideas at once. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like the thing that really makes sense to me at the end of the day is trying to introduce a character that people are more familiar with the lore of Shang-Chi, and that would be Fing Fang Foom. We've already been introduced to dragons. We do know they exist in this world, so it would make sense to, show another race of being or dragon or something coming in. Maybe
It,
Fing Fang Foom might not even be in dragon form. Maybe they change that completely too and change the name. Who knows, but
No,
it,
they better not. I'd lose it.
I'm just
I'd lose
saying.
it.
I'm just saying. Maybe he won't come in dragon form. Maybe if they introduce him, he'll come in a human form because he is a shapeshifter. You know?
Uh,
I could see that.
do you think maybe then when they said like the person or whoever heard or noticed the detection of the use of the rings could I don't know. Do you think it was either the multiverse Spider-Man that you mentioned earlier? About he's connected to that, or do you think that maybe just maybe that this is going to be their way to bring back Iron Man? I mean, I don't get it. It's just because we're here, we're in the multiverse, so technically there's another version of Tony Stark, right?
Yeah.
There should be. Absolutely.
Well,
I
one other thing I was going to say that would make sense since we've already been introduced to Kang, right?
Uh-oh.
What if it's calling out to him? They say it's really old. I mean, Kang's a time traveler. And they're
Sure.
they're alien in nature, but they don't know where they came from. You
But
know,
he's also from the future. He's
Exactly.
time traveler. He's also from the future, and these things seem to be ancient in origin. At
But
least they
if
could
he's a
be.
time traveler, Ted, and he's from the future, he can travel to any point in time.
You could be right. You
So
could
I'm
be
just
right.
saying, maybe, just maybe, it could be a reference to Kang somehow.
I like the Fing Fan Foam theory better. I think you tie this to alien technology. You get to introduce some of those cosmic characters, and I think that wraps it up really nicely, if you ask me.
Yeah, I
And
think so too.
I also don't think that it'd be great, but I will never expect Robert Downey Jr. to play Tony Stark again. As great as it sounds, as fantastic as that would be, dude made his money and he played the character for over 10 years. And I think once you have the send off, the best send off ever, you just want to walk away and never look back because you might tarnish the way it ended somehow, and you don't want to do that. So
Here's here, and it's completely off topic here regarding
go for it.
Iron Man, but I, I was thinking about the movie, and we're glowing about it, and rightfully so. It deserves all the attention.
Sure.
But as I could be the Russian judge at times. I disagreed. I disagreed with the decision to make Katie an Avenger. How? Why? That made no sense. No sense. Um, I mean, they already got an arrow person, Hawkeye, and his daughter. She was trained in
Maybe
using
so.
arrows.
Yeah.
I mean, just okay. Wong looks at him and says, "Okay, y'all are Avengers." Okay, I get Shang-Chi, but why her? That made no sense to me,
It's
Joe.
the rule of two, Jeff. Look at what happened
Ooh.
with Wanda. Before Wanda was solo, she was with her brother Quicksilver. In order to have Captain America, you have to have Bucky, right? So there's always a rule of two in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, but at least they're the counterpart had something to offer. What does she have to offer? Nothing.
But look at what
Bucky, became Winter Soldier. Boom.
She's the good
Why?
luck. She's a good luck charm.
look at look
She
at what happened
nailed
with Black Panther. He
she
had
nailed the
Shuri.
monster in the neck. Perfect shots. One in a
Eh.
million. She's the good luck charm, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to
What
it.
happened with
Who
Hawkeye?
knows?
Look at Hawkeye.
Who knows?
He had this what's his name? What's her name? Scarlett Johansson. The
But she's a
Black
trained
Widow.
assassin.
I'm just saying, Jeff, but I'm saying in the Marvel MCU, there's a rule of two. The hero needs a friend, to either
A
help them
sidekick,
out,
Joe.
That's
sidekick.
Sidekick.
Yeah,
fine. Okay, but don't. I mean, do you consider Happy an Avenger? I don't. Happy's not an Avenger.
he's
You
not,
know.
but he helps Peter.
Okay, but my point is that they the Wong automatically says, okay, y'all are both are going to enter a world. Y'all are both, get used to it. Avengers. She's not an Avenger in my book.
She's like the Pupper Potts to Shang Li's Tony Stark. Shang Chi's Tony Stark. That's how
Shung
I'm
Li.
gonna stick to it. Jeff, earlier you mentioned an homage to Dragon Ball. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I felt like a big homage in this movie was actually to a Jackie Chan film we're all familiar with, Rush Hour 2. If you remember Rush Hour 2, there's a scene where Jackie Chan's character Lee and of course Chris Tucker's character, they're chasing after this triad or this gang, and that they start scaling this bamboo scaffolding, and so then the fight ensues on this scaffolding. And that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. In Rush Hour 2, way back when I was, the movie's probably 20 years old by now. But this movie also did something extremely similar or almost exactly alike, where you have this immense fight sequence with a few dozen of these henchmen, and they're using the bamboo in extremely interesting ways. He's using these henchmen as planks. He's actually Shang Chi's actually like throwing himself out, rotating around these bamboo poles and kicking them, and the whole time like, oh, ooh, ah, it's amazing, extremely well choreographed. And also something they did in that Rush Hour movie is I think it was Chris Tucker's character falling, holding onto a single bamboo pipe that starts slowly releasing from the scaffolding, and they had Aquafina's character doing that as well in very similar fashion. So I think it's a big homage to Rush Hour 2, which is also choreographed by Jackie Chan and his stunt team, which is one of the best stunt teams in the history of cinema. So I took that away. right there. Not just the fighting throughout the film, especially on the bus in sort of close proximity. A lot of spinning around the bars, jumping off the ceiling, the sides, and whatnot. Using the jacket or article of clothing to fight these dudes on this bus. Very reminiscent of how Jackie Chan choreographs his fight sequences. But yeah, that one specific scene took me right back. Rush Hour 2. Love that movie. Waiting for Rush Hour 4. I said it. I don't mind saying it. Waiting for Rush Hour 4. When is it going to happen? We need it.
Joe, do you think we're ever going to get an explanation of why Abomination finally looks like his comic, counterpart? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I thought the Ed Norton Hulk, that version of Abomination was fine. I thought that was fine. Okay, he didn't have the fins and all that stuff, but I thought it was still a good character. Now we finally get a comic accurate. Do you think Marvel has to explain why now he's more comic accurate?
I think it's something that they need to address. How the heck did he even get there? You know, because that's a big question mark too. The last time we saw him, he was in shackles in Brooklyn somewhere. Because him and the Hulk had almost destroyed what half of Queens or Brooklyn or something like that. So it's
Harlem, I think.
yeah, it's interesting to see what happened in the time after that fight. Because of course they don't have Marvel doesn't have the rights for the Hulk movie, so they can't really reference that exact point in time. They can kind of go an about way, about it, like a loophole somehow. But to me, it's interesting to see how tame the Abomination was, because usually he just wants to, you know, smash everything, kind of like the Hulk. To me, it just seemed the Abomination was really in control of his human side. You know, being able to control the beast to a certain extent and follow orders from Wong. So I'm like, okay. I guess we could go with that, but again, maybe they do one of those things like they did with Trevor Jeff, and kind of
Yeah.
explain that on some type of a
Well,
Disney
and
Plus thing.
and for the record, Abomination won the fight with Hulk. He won it in a decision, in my opinion. It came to a decision. And let's be honest. I mean, he really, really gave it to Hulk.
He
It
sure did.
really did.
Yeah.
I mean, he had him up against the wall, choking him out, piercing him up, talking the mad smack, took his best punch and called him out, kicked him all over the place. And Hulk, when he finally had him on the ropes, he went soft. He didn't finish. He didn't take care of business, which
Yeah.
is fine. I get it. We still have Abomination. That's fun, but I think it goes to a judge's decision. And if I'm on that panel, I'm giving my scorecard to Abomination.
I see that. I think it was a TKO in favor for Hulk, though. Right? It was he was on the mat. It was a 10 count. Maybe he gets saved by the bell, but I think it was a TKO
Did Hulk
in
have
favor
did,
of
did
Hulk.
Abomination have to use brass knuckles? No, if he handled that man with his hands,
He sure did.
bare hands,
He
Hulk
sure
had to
did.
resort to tools.
It was a street fight, Jeff. It was a street fight. Anything goes. No holds barred. All that good
Didn't he
stuff.
use like chains or something like that? It's like,
He used cars. He used like two
yeah.
big ass cars.
Yeah, he
Was
used cars as
smashing them
brass
together.
knuckles. Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you guys spotted this, but earlier when we were getting to the sisters fight club, this is where we see A Bomb going up against his his dance partner Wong. One of the fights going on in the side room featured an actress from Black Widow. She's from the Red Room organization that Black Widow had saved at the end of the movie, and she's going up against a dude who has looked like he was part of the extremist program from Iron Man 3, which was when they start glowing sort of orange. They were actually exploding early on, but it was Killian, the bad guy who was sort of doing these experiments on people. So you had this Black Widow, this Red Room gal going up against an escaped extremist experiment, and they were fighting in one of those side rooms before we got actually to the main room, which was Wong versus Abomination. So great little callback a lot of callbacks, right? I think that was a little hint extremists from Iron Man 3, and then we would later get Trevor, who was also from Iron Man 3. It's a great little callback there, a little teaser of what was to come.
Yeah. One of the things I think we need to talk about is the sister, because in Shang-Chi, we're always thinking that it's the dad that's the villain. It's always okay, the dad's the guy, the bad guy, you know.
Hmm.
And what I'm thinking the whole time is that the sister is actually being set up to be the new baddie in this Shang-Chi universe,
Yeah,
because the undertone of the movie is he actually abandoned his sister because he couldn't live with what he had done. You know,
right,
he ran from his he ran from who he was, or what he was becoming. And he
Right.
never went back for her. So he sometimes I think, especially with a film like this, since it has so much to do with family, and our decisions. And I think with this movie in particular, it's you're responsible sometimes for the demons that we create, and I think this as a reflection of that, because the sister absolutely doesn't want nothing to do with him in the beginning. You abandoned me, I'm going to abandon you. Even after everything that they go through, in the end, what does she do? She takes over the dad's 10 rings organization by including females, allowing them to come in and train alongside the males, and she's starting this criminal underground. She already was, familiar with everything. I'm sure she has a lot of contacts as well, but really at the end of the day, Shang-Chi is responsible for what she became, so again, sometimes you're responsible for the demons you create, no matter how good your intentions or noble they were in the beginning. He made his choice, and this is what's going to happen. So to me, it's like I understand that the dad was the antagonist. He was the baddie in this movie, but I think the whole time we're looking at the sister coming into her own, and she can handle Shang-Chi. She's a very prolific fighter in her own right. I think she's a lot more like the dad uh, than she realized. And Shang-Chi seems to be more on the tone of like his mom. Always looking for that peace, looking for trying to redeem himself. And for trying to atone for all the wrong that he's done or he thinks he's done. You know, so that's one of the things that I really paid attention to is the family element and how that played into the movie. So
Yeah, but she don't have that ring. She don't have the ring, so Shang-Chi has the upper hand.
the thing is,
Yeah, she.
sometimes you don't need those rings, Jeff. She has an army behind her.
Well, I mean, we saw that the rings alone can take care of armies. I mean, the
oh
dad
yeah,
proved
Yeah.
it.
But
So
oh
she was
yeah.
trained by the
yeah,
mom. She was trained by the same people who trained her mother, and her mother was able to subdue the 10 rings. The mom was able to
right.
easily defeat the dad. So that's what I'm saying. This girl's gonna be, I think, a little bit more powerful than we realize, because she does not
Hmm.
need the rings to subdue her brother. She's using that
Well, she
same
doesn't
fighting
have all
style.
the training that her mom did from Tao Lo.
Hmm. Yeah, Talo. Yep.
Yeah, she doesn't have the training from there, which is where the mom really
We
unleashes
assume
her
that
power.
we're assuming that we don't know
Well,
for
we know
sure.
we know that because Shang Chi didn't get it either. Shang Chi didn't
Yeah,
get that
He got
training until
some.
he go visits the ant. He
he
visits the
he learned
ant.
the
yeah,
dance, and the dance is part of the fighting style. That's the secret to the fighting style. When he was in rhythm and dancing with the ant, he was able to defeat her by
yeah.
using
But
her own moves
why did
against
he
her.
have to learn it? Learn it though. He goes to the end and says, "Teach
You
me."
teach him, yeah, but then he by doing that he learned the secret to that fighting style, and it was that dance that she was showing him to be, you know to kind of it's kind of a dance that emulates you being in perfect alignment with yourself. You're accepting everything that you are, and this is that dance to kind of emulate that. And that's what he was able to defeat his dad, because he was kind of emulating that dance that he used to defeat the ant. So I think that was the secret to the fighting style. It's not so much you're sensing someone else's chi, it's so much of being just in perfect alignment with who you are and everything around you.
Ted, I was going to ask you, why did the ant say your universe? She kept on telling that
They
to
were in an
Shang Chi.
alternate universe,
Your universe.
Jeff.
Yeah,
I
they
know,
were in an alternate one.
but so we're in the multiverse technically then. I
I
mean, I thought
think
the
this
multiverse.
is like a dimension. Like I kind of hear what they're trying to say and all that, and say your universe, but Joe will definitely say more about this after I'm done. But there are definitely pocket dimensions within our universe. So I don't think they have their own Earth in this land that they're in. I just consider this like their sort of heaven or their spiritual realm that they're in right
Very
now in a
reminiscent
pocket
of Shangri
dimension.
La.
There you go. Something like that. So I don't think they have their own universe. I think they're just in a pocket dimension in another realm within our own universe. And our universe is based in, reality, realism. It's grounded. We have technology and physics and laws of gravity and everything else. And their realm doesn't abide by any of that clearly. So that's the way I take it. They're just in this sort of spiritual world or realm, still within our universe, but definitely separate, and a hell of a way to try and get there
Yeah.
with this bamboo maze and sort of mousetrap like snaking that it forces you to kind of go to. That was interesting. I love that aspect of it. I was kind of trying to figure out though, how did Pops get his entire army through that maze? I'm willing to go with. There's this one easy path once every whatever they said, once a year, once every 10 years, whatever they said. I'm willing to go with that. There's like a really easy path to get straight to Taulo. Um, Using that map that the father got. But yeah, I was like, he got everybody through here, and Shang-Chi can only get a car. Okay,
Yeah, but when you were talking about the multiverse, she says, your universe or whatever. But then when she was taking him on that origins trip or trip through history, she
yeah,
said, "Oh, we have cities that rivaled anything. They were greater cities, and this dragon or that entity went and destroyed them. He was destroying other universes, so they might be in a pocket dimension, but they're whole territory expands beyond that, because they had
you don't
making
think that he
references.
was just on Earth before, and they had to take him out of Earth? Because that's how I
No,
took it.
no, that means she was saying that he was going through other dimensions, other universes, and destroying those
Wow.
cities, that they had built, and they had to finally
So
subdue
we're in the
him.
multiverse then, right?
They're in the
Yeah,
multiverse, but they had to subdue him in that pocket dimension that they were in.
that doesn't make sense.
That's where their final
She
battle had
tells
occurred.
him, but she tells him in your universe. Isn't again? I go back to what I said. Isn't
Yeah,
that the multiverse?
yeah.
Your universe,
We've
our
I'm
you've
down.
already
universe.
been introduced
Look
to
at
the
that.
multiverse, Jeff.
I
Say
know,
what?
but I mean, oh, go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
No, I said you've already been introduced to the multiverse. You know,
I know, but I thought our introduction was going to be in the next Spider-Man, or at least
it's
the
gonna get.
beginning was with the Kang and Loki
That was before
because
that too. Endgame.
Time travel in
that was time travel.
It
Well, I don't know.
wasn't just
Yeah,
time
go ahead.
travel. What happened with Gamora?
Ah,
that was futuristic Gamora,
I'm,
past and future Gamora.
I'm just saying it started before you all realized, but you're
It's like
getting up.
Back to the Future doesn't have multiverses.
It's getting
Ah,
more
damn it! It kind
extensive.
of does. Crap.
Yeah, it's getting more extensive as the story progresses. Like you've been introduced to it with Loki, and it got a little bit more progressive, a little bit more in depth. You're getting little hints of it in Shang-Chi. You're going to get a bigger dose of what it really means in the next Spider-Man, and probably within, when they go with the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and
and then
Yeah,
we're getting there right now with What
yeah,
If. So
yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. You're there already. You're already in it. But it's going to get more extensive as far as explanations and what needs to happen, what can happen, and how it affects everything. All these rules are going to be laid out probably in this next Spider-Man flick, as you have seen from the trailer. But you're already in it, dude.
I like that though. I like that, Jeff. Good call out, man.
one other thing though is that I mean, overall, the movie was just great. I thought it was really good. I'm a purist. I have to have a carbon copy of what I read in the comics and see it on the big screen. You want to get a little creative, fine. Don't get too creative. Captain Marvel, I thought she was watered down. The rings versus bracelets. The little things like that. But
Yeah.
I was at, but I always look back at the multiverse that Joe said we're in it already. When did it happen? Was it when Loki and the girl Loki ended Kang version 5.0, whoever he was? Like, was that the beginning of the multiverse?
The
Because
big
then after that, everything went to chaos.
the beginning of the
Or
multiverse started with Doctor Strange, Jeff.
when was that?
If you watch Doctor Strange, just the regular movie, when he went to go see the Great One, she introduced him to other universes, other realms beyond his own. There's infinite possibilities. They started already setting you guys up for that already then.
Mm.
Go back and watch it again now that you know everything that you know, and look at all the little references that they make in that film.
I'm going to be very
So is
careful
so
about this because I think
is is
realms
Strange?
with in a
I'm sorry. Go
universe
ahead.
are different than a multiverse. Multiverse to me means there's another Joe and another
Yeah,
me and
that's how I
another
take it.
Jeff that recorded this an
Yeah,
hour later in the night
they make a
in
lot of
another
references to
universe.
that in Doctor Strange.
Ah, all right.
Go watch the film
I'll go
again.
back and watch it.
Yeah.
I'll go back and watch it.
But see, that's the thing with it. But then that goes back to Ted. Is right. I agree with you. When the ant said, "In your universe, this was happened." In this universe, we had skyscrapers. We had people walking in the streets. Remember the portrait showed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of looked
So
like
it
Wakanda.
seems. Did it was it Wakanda? I thought it was just like a different version of Earth. That's what
No,
I took
it
that.
was a
But
different version. Yeah.
my point is, was she already letting everybody know? Like, was she the start of the multiverse in the MCU? We're getting it with What If. We're gonna get a big dose of it with the next Spider-Man. We started seeing it with the end of Loki, where everything got out of whack. But is she already starting to set things up?
Maybe, but I'm just saying it's already been set up a while back.
Been cheesed along the way, right? Little sprinkles, little crumbs, little bread trails along the way. This is but this is the first time somebody in a movie has said your universe, not referencing like an Earth Prime, if you will. So
Mhm.
I hear what Jeff's saying. It's the first time, it's the first moment somebody's actually acknowledging this in a movie. I think time travel is different because you can create alternate realities of events that have already happened, but those aren't necessarily um,
And you're going sideways.
multiverses.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
going sideways in time.
so that's not; those aren't multiverses that already exist that we can visit, and things are happening on a different level or different scale. But you can go back in time and go forward in time and experience the same events differently. I think that would be different. But yeah, I think Jeff's on to something. First time
Um,
someone might be acknowledging a multiverse in
uh,
a movie.
do you think we'll ever, because you're talking about time travel versus the dimensions, it just hit me right now. Do you think the TVA is going to have an issue with the Avengers
Who
going back in time?
knows?
No, they already made a reference to that in Loki. They're like,
They
that
did.
was supposed to happen. That's what they said.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
their there was a cop out right there.
Yeah.
Well,
That was
no. I
supposed to
mean,
happen.
that was a theory that I had later confirmed by the Loki director. Everything that has happened in phase 1, 2, and 3 of the MCU was planned by Kang, the He Who Remains,
Hmm.
and it was planned so that Loki and Sylvie would eventually end up at his palace, at his castle, at the end of time, and that way he can propose to them taking over for him. Everything.
But I
Phase
mean,
one, phase two, phase three, Infinity War, Endgame. None of it happens without Kang's approval. He needed it to happen so that Loki gets away in Endgame and eventually meets with Sylvie and ends up at the castle. Confirmed by Loki director.
but not. I was gonna get now. I'm gonna get all confused.
Go for it.
But he who remains. That's
Yeah.
not the Kang that we're thinking of, right? He's not the Kang the
No,
Conqueror, or no, he's not. So did
Mm-mm.
Kang the Conqueror set that emotion, or did he who remains set that emotion? Because how does Kang the Conqueror fit into that equation then? Because if he who remains says, "Hey, you're here because I paved the way for you,"
yeah,
Yep.
I can explain it to you real easy.
Kang has nothing to do with that then, right?
Yes and no. Here's how it works, kind of, Jeff, in an easy way. Kang, it sits outside of the timeline that He Who Remains created. Okay, because he says the sacred timeline. You can't branch off. You can't deviate from outside of the sacred timeline, because if you do, this will happen. Because Kang sits outside of that. So as long as you're inside the sacred timeline, you're kind of safe, so to speak. But since Loki and Sylvie killed He Who Remains, there's no one guarding the sacred timeline. So at that point, it's a free for all, and Kang can just go and have at it. There's nothing holding him back anymore. So that's why when you saw that scene at the end of Loki, and you see Kang's statue there, there was nothing holding him back anymore, and things can happen that fast, in the blink of an eye.
And I think we also need to separate He Who Remains and post his death, meaning Kang the Conqueror isn't taking over that castle. Kang the Conqueror is definitely taking over the TVA. Whatever their objective is now is anybody's guess. But he who remains and the castle he was in, not run by Kang the
Kang, yeah.
Conqueror. He's got a whole new different set of plans, and he's not pulling the same strings as He Who Remains was. He Who Remains was pulling all the strings from the very first of MCU film to the
Yeah.
end of Endgame to the end of Loki. Really, the first season,
Well, to a
pulling all the
certain extent,
strings.
Ted, he said he didn't know what was going to happen after a certain point in
He
time.
doesn't he doesn't know what was happening after Sylvie and Loki showed up and they crossed through the threshold. But
Yeah,
everything before that,
he
he
knew.
foresaw, and he also made sure it happened exactly the way he needed to. If it doesn't happen the way he wants it to, that's when the TVA gets sent out. It
Yeah.
wasn't really it wasn't always a matter of let's stop branches. It was also a secondary objective of let's make sure everything falls, the dominoes fall the way that I need them to, so that Loki and Sylvie end up on this table, this chair in front of me, and I can
Mm.
talk to them face to face.
But
But yeah,
So
Loki,
so
you're right.
so was he who remains actually kind of right to let him live, because technically he kept everybody in check and he warned them, said, "Hey, if you end me, it's gonna get bad." So maybe his ends justified the means, guys.
Yeah, you're right, because Loki was all about that too. Loki was like, Sylvie, hold up, let's let's think about this for a second. He's probably not lying. We could kill him right now. He's letting us. But yeah, so Loki was on that side of the coin. Let's not kill him because yeah, chaos could happen. We don't know what that could look like. Anything could happen after that. So Loki was exactly what you're saying. He's right. The ends, the things he was doing, it's the multiverse. It's not just their universe at
it's
stake.
everything.
It's everything, all of them. And if that doesn't justify his means, I don't know what does.
Yeah, but the thing with Loki and Sylvie, and even with Wanda, even Doctor Strange, I think to a certain extent, these are Nexus beings, beings that exist in all realities at the same time. They've made references to that already in Wanda, in WandaVision. Wanda
Mhm.
is a Nexus being, and I think the other Nexus being is Loki, and I think there's another one which is going to be Doctor Strange. So The
I can
Nexus
see that.
beings, you got to look it up, Jeff, in the Marvel MCU. They're very important. I think Loki, like they always keep referring, they say, you're more powerful than than we thought we were. So that right there to me, and meeting the other Lokis and all that other stuff, it signifies that he's a Nexus being.
Will
Let's.
we? Do you think Wanda's gonna? Well, we know Wanda's gonna show up eventually, but is she turning to the other Scarlet Witch? The not so nice Scarlet Witch? Are we gonna see that?
I think
Because
I
she
think you
looked like
will.
she was kind of ticked off already.
Well,
Hey,
she
I'm
lost
down
her
because we, we
family.
we got a we got a taste of that in the What If episode today. So if it's anything like that, just a smidge like that, I'm totally down, and we should see her in the next Doctor Strange movie.
But you don't think that's kind of Phoenix like?
Oh, very.
Yeah, it's very Phoenix like, right? So I'm not
Oh,
the only one who
totally.
thought that, right? Like just this
Yeah.
overpowered being like the Phoenix. And then you got Wanda. I mean, that'd be a great matchup. I think that'd be a
What
great versus
the
matchup.
what if
Wanda
the
versus the Phoenix.
Yeah. But the latest what ifs, they were kind of explaining exactly what happens when you try to stop someone from dying. You can't prevent that. If it's that exact point in time, it needs to happen. Because if you try
Sure.
to change it, you see the outcome in the what if episode with Doctor Strange. I think this is the same type of scenario that we're going to be faced with Wanda. Because at the end of WandaVision, what does she hear when she's, kind of doing her astral projection with the Darkhold? She hears her kids, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
So she's going to try to find a way to bring them back. And that might not be good for any of us because I mean, she's getting really powerful. She's even more powerful than Doctor Strange, so she's going to be a tough one to stop. It's not somebody you want to be on the bad side of.
Yeah, because I don't think there's anybody right now on the roster that can handle her one on one, right? Maybe Strange, maybe Vision if they bring him back. Maybe just because
Mm,
she has the heartstrings to pull on. But
well,
Yeah,
he's
you're not
he's
you're not wrong about that, man. It'd be
yeah,
tough to
I
take her
mean,
down.
and I can't think of anybody. I mean, unless it's getting. Oh man, imagine if she's gonna be the next villain. Like she's the next big baddie. After Kang. Leading up to her. That'd be interesting. Speaking of what if, first of all, I felt like I was watching The Walking Dead. That's what I felt like. Yeah, I'm waiting for Rick Grimes to show up and start telling everybody to get to the prison, and he's looking for Coral instead of Carl. But
Carl.
um, Coral, yeah. But very, I mean, the zombie what if was fun, but my goodness, Marvel just said, "F this, we're going dark, aren't we?" I mean, after Peggy Carter, it's just been gut punch after gut punch after gut punch from Wanda being the way she was, and we saw Vision commit suicide in front of our eyes. We saw it. Um, to Doctor Strange just losing it and the most upsetting ending. Todd,
Ever.
why are they going to this darker realm? Is this a setup for the upcoming phase?
They're training us. They're training us, Jeff. It's gonna be all downhill from here for Phase 4, man. And they're setting us up for a lot of sad moments and some depressing times. It's gonna be Infinity War ending times 10.
You got to say
It's gonna be
goodbye to
like that
some
every movie,
some
man.
friends. You,
Yeah,
you got to say goodbye to some friends because they're already starting to set up the next generation of Marvel heroes, and it's going
there
to
you
be the
go.
kids. So we've been introduced to that already, and I don't think every parent is going to make it out. Let's put it like that. You're gonna
Is this going to be this new generation of young kids version of Optimus Prime when we went through when Optimus
probably.
Prime died? Is this going to be their
I,
version?
I
Like they're
think
going to
they already
see?
experienced that, Jeff, with the
You
the
think so?
death of
Okay,
Tony Stark.
that's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, they
You're
all
right.
liked the Iron Man, and then when he died, they were like, I mean, the kids that were like my kids' age that grew up with that stuff, they were just tore up. you know,
Yeah.
they hadn't
Yeah, we
experienced
hey
that.
guys, we've been trained well with the Prime Death and Never Ending Story with the horse dying, so we were ready for this. So thank you, '80s movies,
E.T. Don't
prepping
forget
us up for the.
E.T.
And then ET, yeah, all albino and dying on the curb side of the street, but but it just seems to me, fellas, like I mean, Marvel just took a dark turn. This is not just a little dark turn. This is a hella dark turn.
I
I
think
mean,
it's going to be a darker tone. Basically, that's what they're setting you up for with this thing that's going to be going on with Kang. It's not going to be pretty, you know. This is going to be a different type of villain.
is Kang really a step up from Thanos? Is he
He,
really a step up?
he's going to be
I
different.
mean,
Let's put it like that. It's not going to be Thanos. Thanos was more methodical and to a certain point compassionate, you know, because he's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go ahead and kill half of you and I'm going to let half of you live. And his whole thing was he just wanted the gauntlet, not to really conquer everything. He just wanted to bring
Right?
balance. With
He's
Kang,
trying to save half of
yeah,
all
right.
life.
yeah, exactly. And with Kang, he doesn't give a shit, Ted. He wants everything, you know? So I think he's more ruthless than Thanos.
And he also has the technology that Thanos never did. Look, gauntlet aside, right? That's a weapon. And when Thanos has it, yeah, he's OP and all that stuff. Kang has technology that is not going to take down somebody with a gauntlet and all the stones, but it's going to take care of the Avengers no problem. He's got the technology to do it. He's also got the smarts to do it. He's a super genius. So yeah, I've been talking about Kang for over a couple of years now because when Endgame ended, JC and I had the same discussion on an episode, and they said, "Who's next? Who should they bring up next?" I said, "Kang. He has the technology. He has the intelligence. He could hold up against an entire Avengers team without question. And it's not his brawn. It's not his might. Yeah, he does he can put up a fight if he wants to, but his technology does all the work for him. And there's nothing the Avengers would have had to kind of combat that,
Yeah,
at
kind of
least
think
up to
about
this point.
Brainiac. Think about Brainiac, Jeff.
Yeah.
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 He-
Well, here's the thing though. But don't. And I'm gonna get your thoughts on this. But here we have a rub now. Now we have something clashy now. So you're setting up Kang, and you set him up perfectly, Dead. I mean, perfect. You know, the technology. You know, he can handle an army of Avengers. But now you know, we're going to a different phase too, with the new crew. With Icarus and who am missing here, and with
You talk about the kid?
the no. Talking about, oh my god, it's escaping my mind.
Falcon?
Um, no. The next movie that's coming out, Eternals. You
Oh
have the
Oh,
Eternals.
Eternals.
God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Eternal squad could come in and just end Kang. So how are you going to justify that now, Marvel? You're going to introduce a Kang, a conqueror who is just tech based, which is strong though. You got Eternals now that are just that could just wipe them out in a blink of their eye. So unless they're going to draw the line again, Ted, and say, you know what, Avengers, this is your problem, not ours.
I don't think all the Eternals make it out of that movie. I really don't. There's there's too many hints at it. The love triangle between um our Game of Thrones guys. And yeah, I think there's going to be probably half or maybe a third of those characters that don't make it out of that movie. And so each of the Eternals has a very unique, power, right? Very unique ability, and together formidable, absolutely. But I think we're not going to see all of them make it out. Plus, a few of those actresses are you have to give them big checks to keep them around. Talk about like Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie. I don't know if Marvel is going to be writing those checks for those two going forward. So let's see
I
what
don't know,
happens.
man. I'm
Do you
getting
think? Do you
very
think, Joe? Do you think that's going to be the cop out? Like they're going to be like, well, Kang guys, that's your problem. Because in the trailer they say we only get involved when the counterparts of the Eternals are involved.
yeah, and that's
The
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 deviants,
deviants.
Deviant.
Yeah.
Deviants is technically, Kang is not a deviant, right? I mean, unless I missed something
right?
here, he's not a
No, but
deviant,
we did see one deviant uh or a descendant of the deviants, and that was Thanos.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot he's a deviant.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, the thing is though with Jeff, I'll be honest with you, the Eternals is giving me very
Oh, come on.
Inhuman
Yeah,
vibes,
you're
man.
not on board with the Eternals, aren't you, Joe?
Not at all, bro. I'm getting very Inhuman vibes off of this whole
Oh
cast
my
and this
God.
whole trailer.
We do
Not
do we
excited.
even we kind of acknowledge the fact that Inhumans never existed, right? It's kind of like
Yeah,
Pretty
Dragon
much.
Ball Rep. It's kind of like Dragon Ball Revolution.
yeah.
Evolution. We
You
never we
cannot.
never acknowledge that.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
go with
nobody
that.
we never acknowledge Inhumans, right?
nobody talks about it anymore. Marvel's done everything perfect, never made any mistakes.
Inhumans.
Inhumans was a bigger mistake than a lot of people remember. So
No,
yeah,
I
no, I
remember I
I
watched it
completely
and I was
agree.
like, "What is this?" And I'm telling you, when I watched the Eternals trailer, I was like, "Man, I'm getting some Inhuman vibes. That's not a good thing." My Spidey sense was tingling.
Ah, my only concern is that if how watered down they're going to have to go to convey it to the casual audience, because comic book equal, you got to have a master's degree to understand what the hell they're doing.
They're gonna try to simplify it, I think, in a way that
Yeah,
is gonna be
Not a
easy to
lot.
follow.
Not a
you
lot.
don't think it
Not
has
a
to be a
lot.
lot? I mean, the Eternals, the Deviant story is you have to kind of get into it, Ted.
You're right, but I also say this to people, like Marvel gave the respect to the audience and the average moviegoer when they wrote Endgame and decided to put like time traveling physics all in it, including Infinity Stones and whatnot. So like if they're gonna put that in the movie, I think anything else is game. And then Loki just came out, and that is also going over a lot of people's heads, even people that love Marvel. Like, people are arguing back and forth online nonstop. We're doing it on the show. What does this mean? What does that mean? What's this mean in the laws of the MCU? How does this change things? So I don't think Marvel cares anymore. Marvel said, we're going to do what we want, and you're either going to be with us, or you're going to be confused as hell, and you'll just come along for the ride anyway. And I think that's
Yeah,
completely fine.
yeah. We need to start bringing this thing to a close because Jeff's got to get up early to work tomorrow. But I think we need to
I
start.
Oh,
agree.
just one more point though, because now I'm into it now. Um,
You don't care.
You got them
just a couple
started.
more things. No, you got me started because I just want to understand how they're going to justify the Eternals being around, but yet they're not going to be available to tangle with Kang, because again in the trailer, didn't the Black Knight say, "Where the hell were you guys when Thanos was around?"
Yeah.
They can't
I
interfere with that type of, I guess, thing that's going on. They can interfere if it's the deviants wreaking havoc or trying to change things up here. They'll protect us from that threat. But what's going on with Thanos is outside of the realm of jurisdiction for them. Just like you've been watching What If and you've seen The Watcher, he can't interfere
Sure.
no matter what anybody tells him. He's just there to observe.
But here's the thing about the Watcher, and I also feel like it's going to be the basis for the Eternals, going forward. The Watcher doesn't interfere until things get extremely bad, and there's just no choice. And I think with the Eternals, they're gonna have to do something very similar. The movie will just probably go up against Deviants in this timeline, probably late Phase 3 or post Phase 3. But I think things are going to get really bad
Yeah.
in the MCU, and that
Do, do,
might be after No Way Home. It might be Doctor Strange. Something will get extremely bad, and the Eternals will have no choice but to start doing something and putting the work
It's the
in.
ripple of time.
The Galactus, you think?
I don't
No,
know.
I
I think
think
it's
I
just
think we're
time.
talking like a multiverse level event, and
Oh,
Galactus
okay.
is a very very singular universe event. I don't think people bring up Galactus, and every time I think about that, I think Galactus is more of like a 2 or 3 movie arc. I think you can cover everything regarding Galactus in a couple of films, 2 or 3. You're not, you don't need phases of movies for Galactus like you did for Thanos, and or Kang for that matter, right? I think Kang might take up this entire Phase 4 and probably the next one too. Most of the next one, I think Galactus is a 2 or 3 film arc, and you can cover all that in just those movies. So yeah, I think so. Hey, listen, let's do this.
Wait, quick, crazy question. Would they get involved if Doom gets involved?
I
If
love
Doctor
Doom.
Doom? I mean, because he could really tear up. You know what? If he gets his mind to it. I mean, didn't he become Galactus to a certain degree? I mean, he slayed Galactus. So do you think? No, I was trying to get at here, Ted and Joe. Do you
Yeah,
think Galactus is down the road? Maybe after Kang. I mean, sorry, not
I
Galactus. I'm
think he
sorry,
could be.
Doom.
Yeah.
Doom.
Well, I think he could be,
Have to
but
be.
you'd have to introduce the Fantastic Four for that to happen. We know it's coming, but they're going to set it up. They have to set it up, you know?
they will. Doom is on the way. I'm gonna call it. I'm just saying it's years down the road. I
Yeah.
think we're probably 3 or 4 years away from it, and I also don't think we have to get the Fantastic Four before we see at least the country he's from or something referenced
Yeah, you
to
could reference him
Doom.
by name. You could reference him by name, before he became Doom, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything like that. We will get Doom references before we see Doom, and we will see Doom, I think, before we get the Fantastic Four. And I'm not to say that we'll get like a big movie. He's a big bad. I think we'll get an end credit scene, the Thanos post Avengers end credit scene, where we finally get a Doom reveal. Don't ask me who I would cast in that role. I haven't thought about it enough yet. But
Yeah.
Marvel's knocking out of the park so far with all of their baddies and all their new heroes in this phase. So
Except for
can't
Brie
wait to see
Larson.
what happens.
Except for Brie Larson.
I'll say the story.
They whiffed on that one big time.
I will write that up as more of a story issue rather than an actress issue. But let's do this. This is the part of the show where we actually want to talk about our Geekcast rating. Rating is 1 through a 5. One is always Super Mario Brothers the movie.
Oh,
Five
man.
is Winter Soldier, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So we want to get a Geekcast rating from all of us, and we also want to get one from you. So if you're watching at home or if you're listening to this on the podcast, be sure to send us a message. Let us know what you rate Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Joe, let's start with you, man. What's your rating?
I really like this film, and you know how tough I am on rating
You're
films.
tough. You're tough.
I'm going to have to go ahead and give this one a solid 4. I'm not going to give
Nice.
it a
All
four
right.
and a half. I'm going to give it a solid 4. There was some little things that bothered me here and there, but overall, I thought it was a very solid film. I put it right up there with Captain America and the Winter Soldier, who in my book gets a 4.5, not a 5, because I'm still keeping the door open for a film from the MCU that is going to deliver on all accounts and give me a 5, but it's right below Captain America and the Winter Soldier, solid 4.
Wow, Joe. Wow. There's no 5 in the MCU.
Not
Infinity
yet.
War, Endgame, nothing.
Not yet.
Iron
I got
Man.
to keep the door open, Ted.
All right, man. All right. All right. Jeff, go over to you next, sir. 1 through 5, 5 being the best, one being the worst. Where do you put Shang-Chi?
I'm gonna give it a 4 too. I think it was really well done. I mean, that's kind of like, since the pandemic, the Marvel's perhaps biggest blockbuster so far. Black Widow was okay. I think it was all right. It's a Marvel movie, but um, I had an issue with them the way they did Red Guardian. He was too comedic for me. But
And
yeah,
Taskmaster too, right?
oh God,
Sorry, I had to bring it up, Jeff. I'm
God,
sorry.
what did they do to our boy Joe? What did
Oh
they do to
man.
him?
They
What did
bastard
they
they
do to
they
Task?
they bastardized him. This is what they
Ugh.
did.
But
Maybe he'll
anyway,
show up. He'll
yeah,
show up in a what if episode, probably, Jeff.
I'm hoping that's like that was the Tony Slattery of the Black Widow arc. But my point is, yeah, Shang-Chi just great. Ten Rings is awesome. Go check it out, from the visuals to the action sequences,
Yeah.
just to the Japanese Asian culture, how vibrant it is. You get yourself they did a solid job casting the Shang-Chi. Solid job. As far as at least explaining, Slattery I love how the real Mandarin just kind of laughed it off, saying like everybody was afraid of an orange. I thought that was hilarious. Like you're just afraid. They were all afraid of an orange as a Mandarin. But overall, good movie, solid four.
Awesome. And I'm actually going to finish this Geekcast rating by calling it a
And I
4.5.
already
That's
knew that
right.
was going to happen.
I'm going to take that extra step because I feel like this movie knocks it out of the park on multiple fronts. We talked about the fight choreography. I love the action sequences. I love the drama. When it was an emotional scene, they nailed it. And then the comedy wasn't over the top, wasn't cheesebally and all that good stuff. It works within the context of the movie. Aquafina was great. The acting across the board is fantastic. Listen, some of these people are legends, right? Tony Lung, who plays the father, Michelle Yeoh. I mean, these are legends in cinema, and so you don't get
Exactly.
bigger than some of
Yeah.
these individuals in these roles.
I
So
wish that Jackie Chang made it in. I was hoping we get some sort of him popping in.
man, I kept picturing him whenever we would see the dad. I'm like, man, they look so similar, the facial features and all that. But going back to this, not only did I love the acting across the board, but all of the Easter eggs, all of the references throughout, references to other movies that right not in the MCU, and then also references within the MCU. We'll probably talk about Easter eggs more another time. But yeah, loved it, loved it, loved it. Also loved the finale. Not only the fight between the father and the son, but just the drama, Shang-Chi losing his dad before his eyes. His father sees, he's made a grave mistake and isn't even fighting back anymore. Succumbs to the monster and gives his weapon over to his son. All of that drama, the storytelling, it all works. It all works extremely well. So kudos again to Marvel and the writers, Dave, Callahan, Destin Cretton, Andrew Lanham, who, these little changes from the comics, little deviations, they work within the context of this movie. There's a reason why they make those changes, and those changes work. It puts it all together perfectly. It's like a puzzle, and they always make it work. So, those little changes do work. That brings our overall Geekcast rating to a
Point one two.
4.12.
You gotta, you gotta.
4.17.
It's 4.1666667.
4.17.
So we'll round it up. 4.12.
And
I'm
listen,
still
listen.
I'm still crying about Taskmaster, guys. By the way.
Oh my God.
And listen, give Marvel credit. People
2.7.
always came down on them for Trevor from Iron Man 3. That was like their biggest misstep leading up to this movie. And Marvel said, "All right, you know what? You didn't like him then. Well, you're gonna like him now." They bring him back, and he's an integral part of the film. Ben Kingsley is just a master at this, right? He's hilarious and interesting from the beginning that we see him all the way through. It's fantastic. I love it. What's there not to love about this movie? So I have 4.5 for me, but yeah, overall
Yeah,
Geekcast
it's
rating 4.2.
4.17. We'll put it 4.17. If you want to give it a
4.17.
point two, I mean, you could. Right now, it's 4.17 as it sits.
Yeah,
So
leave it there. Leave it there. 4.17. So again, we want to hear from you guys if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast. Be sure to let us know what your thoughts were about Shang-Chi. And you can send us a message on Facebook by clicking that send message button, or you can hit us up on our website at www.countdowncitycast.com. Joe, any more thoughts about the What If episode?
I thought it was good. I like both of them. I like the one with Doctor Strange. I thought that was a really dark uh, episode, but I really enjoyed it. You know, it was a really good episode. I really thought it was one of the better ones that I've seen in the What If series.
Yeah.
Beyond the initial one with Peggy Carter as Captain America, this was one of the better ones. The one with the zombies was a bit odd. I kind of like the story, you know, where they kind of explained where everything was coming from and how everybody got turned to zombies. and whatnot. But it was okay. I mean, it was good. If you like that kind of thing, if you're a fan of the Walking Dead, you're gonna love it. But to me, out of these two episodes, I kind of like the Doctor Strange one the most. My personal preference. But I enjoyed every episode of What If. I thought been a really cool series to watch every week so far.
There you go. Jeff, how about you, man? This week's episode with the zombies or last week episode with Doctor Strange, which one resonated with you little bit more?
Doctor Strange did. It was crazy dark. The ending was not happy at all.
No.
To hear Strange just begging and pleading with the Watcher, was just gut wrenching. Um, and in a low key way, you kind of didn't blame him. I mean, he just wanted to have his girl back. He was just trying to protect his girl, but
Yeah.
he got out of control. And I thought the zombie episode was fun. I think it was cool. Yeah, again, Walking Dead vibes, big time. But I mean, if you look all just right after Peggy Carter, it's been what, us watching the Avengers get murdered, like literally murdered. They literally got murdered before our eyes. Hank Pym went crazy. He became he technically was not Ant-Man, right? He was
He was the first
Yellow
Ant-Man.
Jacket.
he was Yellow Jacket,
Yeah.
right? Did they ever
Yeah.
say that he was Yellow Jacket, or you just because he had the uniform?
He had the uniform on, and
Okay,
I think that's enough for us to go off of. I don't think they ever blatantly say it out loud. So yeah, I
like
agree
he's
with that.
Yellow Jacket, yeah. So you go from happy Peggy Carter to Avengers getting murdered, Doctor Strange just brutal, and to now just Wanda going nuts and everybody a zombie, and Happy getting killed. And I mean, they even showed Hawkeye just arrowing everybody. I mean, literally right through Happy's shoulder, and he just sits there and says, "Ow." It's funny.
Yeah.
Uh, and then Sharon Carter too. She's getting offed. But yeah, just really really dark. What's the next episode going to be about? Do we know yet, or is it still too early to know?
I've seen lists, but I
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write them down. I thought I might have,
Okay.
but
I just want to know when the next happy one is. I think we need a little break from this darkness.
um
What
oh,
if Joe gets the Infinity Gauntlet? That's the
I
next
might
square. That's the next what if. What if Joe
okay,
Garcia gets the Infinity Gauntlet? Hmm.
so this is interesting, right? We actually early on people actually expected the zombie episode to come 2 weeks later. And then we were all surprised when the posters released were the zombie episodes. So it's almost like they moved the zombie one up. What was previously expected to be episode 5 surrounds Thor landing in Las Vegas instead of New Mexico. So we might be getting that happy episode that you want,
Right.
Jeff, if Thor lands in Sin City.
That'd be
Jeff.
funny.
So yeah, we'll see what
And
happens
and
there.
and and, and I guess collectively, since we didn't bring it up, I guess we were kind of didn't really think T'Challa Guardian was good.
I liked it. Very wholesome. Love Thanos is on the team.
That was funny. Yeah.
Um, that was some good stuff. I like that part a lot. Yeah, no, I liked it a lot because not only was Chadwick Boseman voicing T'Challa in that episode, pulled on the heartstrings some more, but really cool story about how T'Challa, the character, changes the universe by being the head of the Ravagers instead of Star Lord, original Peter Quill, being in that group. So it's interesting to see how much of the universe changes along with Thanos, his motivations, um, because of T'Challa. That's how much the presence of T'Challa changes people and the environment around him. That says a lot. That's pretty big, in my opinion.
It's genocide. It's genocide.
So good, man. I'll go last on these episodes. I loved the Doctor Strange one because of how dark it was. To see him sort of take that turn, I love seeing heroes go down a dark path because I want to see them come back out of it. That's why I love Batman v Superman so much. But it didn't happen. Shocking that it didn't happen. So yeah, very sort of depressing episode. Joe knows I like zombie movies and zombie TV shows, so I'm gonna say episode 5 was probably one of my favorite ones because huge on the sort of the zombie lore, some of the death scenes that you saw and all that. Loved all that good stuff. Um, oop,
I think we lost Ted.
Yeah, we lost Ted.
Yeah, we
Oh, we
lost
lost
Ted.
Ted. Hey, well, Joe, I want to thank you for having me on, man, and let Ted know when he does come back that I think
Oh,
hopefully he gets back
there
so
he
I can tell
comes. He's
him
coming back
personally.
right now.
Okay, bring him back. Yeah, there he is.
you have to kill that other one, Joe.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now. Well, Jeff is on the line with you.
Yeah, yeah, you're still here with me.
All right, you still hear me?
Yep,
Yeah,
you're here.
All right. Sorry about that.
it's all right.
Battery died on the camera. Let me just
Let me
finish
just
up by saying,
oh, go ahead.
love the zombie episode. Love the killing, the murder scenes, whatever. The death scenes were great. Seeing Scarlet Witch as sort of the villain at the end was huge. Zombie Wasp as giant wasp. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things you never think you would see. So seeing all of that was great. And then it looks like they might continue it. So looking forward to seeing how that ends. But again, we want to get the thoughts of you at home. What's been your favorite episode so far from the What If series? How depressing was that Doctor Strange episode? I kind of have a few comments already that came in. Daniel says, I really suspect that this episode may set up a future storyline in a future movie. You're not alone. Lots of theories out there about possibly even in No Way Home. Doctor Strange in there is just kind of lost his mind a little bit, gone down a very strange path. Milton says, best one so far, talking about the Doctor Strange episode. An amazing cautionary tale of arrogance. Absolutely. Samantha says, so heavy and so sad. Completely agree with you there. And then Jericho, good old Geekcaster Jericho, about episode 4. It was great. Imagine having the ability to time travel, but not being able to change an absolute point, regardless of the incident. No wonder Strange did what he did. Also, he's calling it now. Uatu will be in a live action MCU movie. I think we all think so too. He will definitely get involved and will cause all kinds of trouble. I realize the Watchers had a cameo in Guardians 2, but that doesn't count. That's fair. I agree. I think Jeff and Joe do as well.
Yeah.
But love the comments. Keep them coming in. And gotta say another thank you so much to Jeff joining us on our Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings review. Jeff, a lot of movies to come out, man.
Yeah,
Venom, Ghostbusters, Spider-Man No Way Home, The
yeah.
Eternals. What are you most looking forward to, Jeff?
Probably Spider Man. I think the ones you just listed right now. Those for Spider Man definitely is what I'm looking forward to. Just seeing how all this is going to unravel now with the multiverse out there. As Joe was talking about, we're going to get a big, heavy dose of it, and just see where they're going to go with this. Will they introduce Miles Morales? I'm interested. Maybe he's the big reveal. We saw Doc Ock come back. So I'm just really going in looking forward to seeing everything tied in together from the Spider Verse, et cetera, et cetera. Venom, I'm losing steam on that. Another delay. Just pushing it off again. You know, it's not rated R. I think they're making a bad mistake by not making it rated R. And so I'm just again, they're doing my boy wrong, man. Uh, because Carnage is like the most not safe for work character in the Spider Verse. I mean, he's
Oh, for
not.
sure.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and then they're gonna water him down when he should be when the movie should be at a rated R. I think that's just a bad move. And then what was the other movie you mentioned right now? You said Spider Man, Venom, Carnage,
Ghostbusters
Ghostbusters.
Afterlife.
Ghost. That I need to see more because I don't want another recycle job. I
I
don't
got you.
want to go. I don't want to go through the Force Awakens again.
Well,
You know,
early
I
screenings,
don't.
Jeff said that it was a really good, really solid film.
Sorry, you broke up. What was that again?
I said they said the early screenings on this, the people that actually saw the early screening,
Hmm.
absolutely loved it. They said it was a really good film.
We're not getting Gozer, right? She's not making an entrance, right? I mean, I
No,
don't want a
Yeah,
recycle job.
no, no,
yeah, we're
Gozer's
no,
getting
coming back.
Gozer.
no,
We're getting Gozer.
We're
not
getting
in.
Gozer for real.
We're gonna get Gozer.
But
I mean, it's not 100%. It's like 90% sure.
it might
How,
not be in
Joe?
the way you think, though, Jeff.
You know why?
But
Because this. I mean, we can talk about this all night. I'm just gonna say that this movie has ties to the '84 film. All of the
you
cult,
see a recycle job, just
the
like the Force
cult,
Awakens.
the cult that they referenced in the '84 film that built Dana Barrett's condominium
Yeah.
building. That cult resides in the little town in Oklahoma that Egon moved to. Egon was on their ass. He knew where they were doing their seances or where they were getting their selenium from.
Hmm.
Egon was on the case. He knew that they wouldn't give up. And I think we're going to see that come to fruition in the movie that the Gozer worshippers were
Hmm.
still out there
Okay.
alive and
If
well trying to make it happen.
it's the worshippers, okay, but we're not gonna get Gozer, the go the entity, right?
You might
It,
want to watch the trailer again, Jeff.
did I miss something? Jeez,
I think she's in there, Jeff.
It's only
she's in
because they had
there.
the terror dogs in there.
You got Gozer, you got Terror Dogs.
I don't know if it's going to
It's
be Gozer. I think it's going to be Evo or Shandor.
possible.
Hmm.
It's possible, but we'll see what happens. I don't want to keep you anymore, Jeff. I know
Yes, yes,
you got to get up early, man. So again, appreciate you joining us, man.
yeah,
It was a great discussion. Can't wait to have you back on.
Yeah,
yes,
thanks,
sir. Thank you
Jeff.
guys so much for having me on, and anytime, y'all know how to get a hold of me. Appreciate y'all.
Yep, thanks, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Bye bye.
Easy. And that'll do it for this episode of the Geekcast. Once again, let us know what your thoughts were about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Love the comments you guys send in. Also talk about What If episodes 4 and 5. We didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, so happy that we're able to talk about it this week. Let us know what your thoughts are about the What If series and what's been your favorite one so far. For the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. And it was a fun episode being able to talk Shang-Chi, What If, and of course, have our good friend Jeff Garcia on the show. So thank you all for watching, and make sure you subscribe and like, the video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like the video, and please share it if you feel like you really enjoyed this episode. Please share it. We greatly appreciate it.
We sure do. Have a great night, everybody. See you next week.